All right, all right. We are back at the Grit Won't Quit podcast studio. We're doing this one virtually today, and we have Yosh on today. Yosh, good morning. How are you
Good morning,
doing?
my man. How you doing?
I am doing great. This is an untraditional podcast. Usually, we talking to business owners, talking about the hustles and struggles of their business. But this man has some hustles and struggles. Just going through life. His life got turned upside down 3 years ago, and he's fighting through it and not letting it beat him. So, Yosh, let's just jump right into the story. Kind of tell us what happened. Again, it has business to it because you were doing sales, you were in the sales environment. So like you're like many entrepreneurs and business owners, just the ending kind of was a little bit different for you.
It
So
was a
just
little
let
rough.
us know what happened.
So I was in the Amazon business for about 13 years. I dealt with some of the biggest companies out there. I guess I think part of it is because they knew I wasn't greedy. I was very honest. I was very quick to do transactions. So in 2023, I was introduced to a new vendor by somebody who I very much trusted, someone who's very well known in my neighborhood. He's probably well known everywhere. So I'm like, cool. He's like, I have a guy who's been in the wholesale business for a while. I want to introduce you to him. I'm like, awesome. I could always use new vendors. So I hit him up and he showed me some of the items that he was selling, and I said I got to check if I could sell them on Amazon, which luckily most of them I could. So we started doing business with each other for I would say about 6 months. It was going very well. He kept on having new inventory, and I would tell him once again, yes or no, I could sell it. The prices were all based on Amazon pricing, so I wasn't always making, you know, sometimes I'd make 10 cents, but when you're dealing with someone, it's like, we'll make up for it later, because I know you want to move inventory. I've done it before also with people I sell to, so it's all good. Let's just keep on having a relationship. So about 6 months later, 6, 7 months later, there's a news story where my supplier got killed. He got shot up in his house. Even today, I have no idea, who it was or any of the details, which I think is better mentally.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and a few weeks later, I'm driving home from taking my son to school. I'm with my daughter and my dog. My daughter happened to be staying home that day, and I'm getting close to the gate of my neighborhood. All of a sudden, I see some sirens, so I'm pulling over the side, which you should do. And I'm thinking, well, it's not me because I didn't do anything wrong. I don't speed or run stop signs.
Yep.
And it was me. They pulled me over. Police officer gets out of the car. He says, license and registration. I'm like, okay, I still don't know what I did, but okay, I got to listen. Then he says, get out of the car. I'm like, okay, I don't understand. He's like, give me your phone, your wallet, your keys, basically everything, the whole Megillah, and go stand by the police car behind your car. And I'm like, what is going on here? He said, stand there, don't talk, and we're gonna go to your house, check it out. And there's like an ambulance there. There's a bunch of cop cars right by my side. I have friends driving by asking me what's going on, and I'm just like, I don't know. I have no idea. No one told me anything. About an hour later, I get back in my car with my daughter, and I'm just like looking at her like everything's okay, even though I don't even know what's going on. I pull into my neighborhood while the police officer following me. I turn the corner, I see an armored truck, I see more police cars, I see people with like big guns, and all I'm thinking is that armored truck for me? Am I going in there? I don't know why, but it's obviously there for a reason.
Sure.
Yeah, so I pull into my driveway. My wife, who they went to go bother her at the gym to bring her home, takes my daughter to school. And I'm still standing outside my house for like 2 hours in the heat. Still have no idea what's going on. And so I'm like thinking, it's early in the morning, and I pray 3 times a day as an Orthodox Jew. So I go to the officer and I say to him, "Is it okay if I go inside and pray?" He's like, I'm Jewish too. I understand. Let me go ask my supervisor. So great. They let me go inside. I'm praying my heart out while seeing my house ripped apart. Like literally, officers everywhere going through every room, taking things. It's surreal, basically. Finally, my wife comes back, and when she gets back, we're kind of asking like, what's going on here, and they're like, well. All I have to tell you is your bank accounts were shut down, they're frozen, your Amazon account is no more, basically. And we're just like, okay, like we still no explanation. So we had to sit on a couch, my wife and I, for about 2 hours while they're going through our stuff. And finally, an officer comes to me and says, "Let's go into the kitchen and let's talk." I'm like, okay. And I know since then everyone's like, you should have got a lawyer, but I had no idea what I did. So I'm just like, okay, they could talk to me, no big deal, it's fine. So I go into my kitchen and there's like five huge guys, just like looking at me, and one sitting next to me with a pad and paper. And still, I'm like, okay, this is scary, but okay. So he starts to ask me questions, like kind of like if you would ask me questions, where did you grow up? What do you do for a living? Who are your suppliers? And I'm like, okay, this isn't a big deal. I don't mind answering these questions. Maybe it's going to help with something else, even though my house is being ripped apart. Um, so finally, they start getting a little bit annoyed. I could tell. They start asking each other, "Do you have a question? Do you have a question?" And then I just start freaking out because I'm like, they tell me, the stuff that you bought from this guy was stolen. I'm like, what are you talking about? How's that possible? Yeah, people are stealing from stores, from trucks. I'm like, how is that real? Like that, you only see that in movies. Like, what were they doing? They were pulling a gun up to the truck and like grabbing everything inside and going to the stores. Like, this is a lot of stuff. How is it possible that all this stuff was taken? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't even make sense to me. So I'm tripping out. I'm starting to have a panic attack. I'm like, can I please go back to my wife? And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I'm like covering my head with the pillow. I'm trying not to like freak out. They even asked my wife, should we take your guns or should we leave them? And she's like, you probably should take them because I'm kind of scared for my husband right now. And then after like a 6 hour day, they leave. That's it. And thank God, because the only thing really on my mind besides freaking out is, can I take my son to hockey practice tonight? Which
Sure.
I do a couple times a week. And can I finish building my sukkah? Because we had a holiday coming up. So even with all that, like I took pride in the fact that my family was so important to me. Like I don't want to leave them when I have to do all these things. And yeah, so then 2 weeks later, I get a call from my lawyer that you're going to do a Trump style. You're going to go in and you're going to take a picture and leave. But no, it's not going to happen that way. You're actually might have to stay in jail for a couple of days because your bond is over $1 million and you have major charges. And then the panic attack starts again. I'm tripping out, but um, on Monday, my father-in-law drove me to jail at 5 in the morning because I didn't want my wife to take me because I'd probably be a wreck saying bye to her. And also, I didn't know how long I was going to be there for. And yeah, it just it was quite the 2 weeks.
So they what charges did they charge you with?
Sure. So it was at that time, it was racketeering, money laundering, like 8 charges of dealing in stolen goods, using a two-way communication device, and white collar crime. That's when I first I had to turn myself in. It was quite extreme.
Wow. And you had no idea that you were working with a guy who was selling stolen.
No, I mean, in my mind, like I don't mix business and pleasure, but he was a single dad. He had 3 kids. He would take his kids to school, to the dentist. Like he was kind of like me. Like you're taking care of your family. That's great. And you're referred to me by a really good person. And you're giving me deals that make sense for Amazon. Like if you're charging me like, if it's not like I was making like $10 on a $1 item. It was deals that I could get from my other suppliers. And like I
You
said,
thought nothing was weird about this at all.
no, no, because this is what I do. This is what I do for a living. I didn't go into an
So
alleyway and say, "Hey, can you sell me some stuff?"
sure.
Which even then, you never know. It doesn't mean it's stolen.
And now, so at this point now, so you're, um, so now your father-in-law takes you to jail, which has to be a weird car ride
I mean,
in
it
of
was my
itself.
stepfather. Unfortunately, my wife's dad passed away before I met him. So
Okay. But I mean, that's got to be a weird conversation getting driven to jail.
So he's this like tough redneck type of guy. So
Uh-huh.
he's like, "It's okay, man. It's gonna be okay." And I'm like, "No, it's not." Like the drive was like 45 minutes. It felt like 10 minutes, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"I can't go. I can't go." Like I'm not used to stuff like this. I'm kind of tough when it comes down to it, as far as standing up for people, and but I'm really like calm. Like I'm not used to like I've had a very good childhood, thank God, where there wasn't like a lot of bad things that happened. So I'm
Yep.
used to being content. I'm not used to like situations like this. And also I never leave my family.
Sure.
To me, like I lied to my kids, my wife and I. We said I was going camping, and they're like, "Why are you so sad?" I'm like, "I hate camping." So it was tough. It was tough to even tell my kids, where am
Sure.
I going? And I never lie to my kids.
Yep. So now you go and you spend 12 days there.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So, thank God there was this Jewish organization called Olive who actually brought me like my to fill in my raps. It brought me a prayer book, brought me like some books. So that was the positive. Um, and this was right after October 7th, so I was kind of freaked out being a Jew and being in there, and like you never know. But and I'm not. I'm more spiritual now, but at the time, like I'm just thinking and when I'm looking back, I'm thinking God really protected me because everyone was nice to me. Everyone was kind, but also I don't have a big mouth. Like when someone says hi, you say hi. I spoke about how I miss my kids, and I don't care how big or strong you are. If you have kids, you can relate and you don't become a tough guy. You're like, yeah, man, I miss my kids too. Like it was just I'm a very easygoing. I can, adapt to any type of person. So I think that helped. Um, Obviously, it wasn't comfortable sleeping on the beds. I was eventually by myself for a week, which actually was one of the best things that ever happened to me because it gave me a chance to kind of separate myself from all the distractions that we have on a daily or in our daily life.
You get to
No
reflect a
phones.
little.
So like and I tell people like slowing down is a blessing because we go 0 to 60 every day so fast, and when you have a chance to put everything aside, whether it's by choice or not, you really get to think about your life. You got to realize, do I want to be down in the dumps, or do I want to get strong and get through this? Do I want to be a better person, even though I think I'm a good dad? Do there's more that I have to do to be an even better dad now that this is going on? Do I have to be a better husband? How do I have to be in the face of God? So it really was a chance to not even take a vacation, but to take a break from life in a good way.
Very good. Very good. So now, again, now you're there. You get out. Now what happens? You go back. Your camping trip's over.
House arrest was tough, but the first thing that was very emotional was seeing my kids. Not seeing them for 12 days and having them run into my arms.
Yep.
They weren't home when I got home. Was like basically like I'm seeing my kids for the first time, and it was very emotional. My kids were crying. I was crying, which I still get emotional talking about it. And house arrest is not easy. It wasn't like, it was nice to be home, but to constantly have someone, telling you what to do, even when you're doing something right. I mean, I know people are doing their job, but, even on my Sabbath being disrupted with phone calls because my monitor goes off, it's hard not to have freedom. People think, you're home, which I was very thankful. Trust me, I'd rather be home than in jail. But it was basically me and my dog every day. And like it gets very lonely. I couldn't go in my backyard. I couldn't even use the internet. I was banned from using the internet, which was hard also. It was points where I would just call anyone to see if they could talk to me, even though they're at work. I started doing therapy, group. I did everything to survive, but it was very lonely. It wasn't.
Hmm.
It
How
wasn't like,
long was house arrest for?
huh?
How long was the house arrest for?
About 2.5 years. Yeah,
So
it was rough.
now,
I had thoughts that I never thought I would have before, so it was mentally draining.
yep. Now that's all past you.
I'm no longer on house arrest. I am on probation, but probation is more like, which I really appreciate. It's more about like a rehab, get your life together, which
Okay.
I don't. I still, whether I question my punishment, that's a whole nother story. But they're really nice at probation. Like they want you to get your life together, which I appreciate because it's not necessarily a bad thing to have someone help you get that new part of your life because
You
I'm
need a
literally
fresh
starting
start now.
over. Yeah, I'm not even starting from zero. I'm starting from negative. So it's almost like someone to talk to once a month. Um, I still have restrictions, which is tough, but it doesn't feel like restrictions after being on house arrest. It's a whole new life, and I get to do things with my kids again without somebody calling me. My Sabbath is not interrupted. So it's a whole new ball game.
That's great. And now, so now what happens now as you rejoin the workforce? And is there any limitations? Is there any things you can't do? Is there anything you can do?
Yeah, I
So
can't do anything with sales, which is almost like everything. Um, I c- I can't do the Amazon business. I can't even sell, a T-shirt to you if I wanted to. So I'm very, very restricted, which is really hard. My friend basically pushed the courts to give me a job at his nursing home, in one of his offices, because I can't even be an administrator if he wanted me to be. So it's not easy. We're still surviving with help. That's the only way, and we don't live a luxurious life. Thank God I own my truck before all this happened. I probably have to get rid of it. Um, and it's hard mentally still because I like to give. Like that, I don't need stuff for myself. I like to help people out. I like to go and do good deeds. So I'm not trying to give myself a comment, but that's how everyone knows me. So the restrictions still are hard mentally, and not being able to support my family in any way I want is very hard mentally. But um, I have a lot of support, thank God. But it's not easy. It's not. I want to support my family and not worry about it.
sure. So how this no sales, is that forever or is that
It's
just
for
for
6 years.
6 years?
I am a convicted felon. That was part of my plea agreement, which is it doesn't change your life that much. It does restrict some jobs. I'm not saying I want to have it, but considering I kind of have my life back, and that was part of the plea, it's worth it because I would take a bullet for my family, and that's kind of the bullet I took. I can't vote, which the way elections are these days, I don't know if it matters. Um,
Fair.
but for the most part, it's not so bad. But the job part is hard. It's really hard because I want to support my family, and not having all the options I want is very difficult.
Yeah. And now before this, you were doing Amazon then, even before this issue. So like, this is what you know. This is
This is what I know. I have, like I said, I have great vendors that are like huge in the country and out of the country. So, and they took me as their basically to represent their goods even on Amazon. So,
yeah,
it's really hard when you worked years to build these relationships and all of a sudden you don't have them. Is you're literally starting over again.
yeah. So in a perfect world, with the courts and everything like that, what can you do that it fits in your skill set so that any listener who's on this that's listening to this program that might have an opportunity, like you can't do sales, but and you can't do
I
like
want to let you know, as part of that wake up call that I had when I was incarcerated by myself and on house arrest, is I realized that obviously number one is supporting my family, but I think I could really relate to almost anyone, and I think I'm a very understanding person, and I'm a very very good worker. Like I'm not just saying that. Like I give my 110% even at the crappiest jobs.
yeah,
So I can't do sales, but I can provide myself and my services, which I think based on what I've been through, it's a whole new ball game if you take me on because I can relate to anyone and I'm very sensitive to anyone's needs. And I think you need that even in business, even in providing your services. You can't just be someone who's I'm better than anyone or I know better than everyone. You have to I lived it. I lived it and I understand everyone. I really do. So I think that I still know how to lead a business. It might not be sales, but I still know how to run a business. I'm still very responsible because I have to be, or I'd be a wreck right now. I had to basically do everything I had to do to survive, and part of that is being on top of everything.
is there an ideal position that you would want at a company if there was a person listening to this podcast that's hiring?
Look, I have a lot of confidence in myself, even though I lost it for a long time. I think I could, no matter what the business is, I think I could run it. I'm not good at math, like accounting, but if you need someone who basically could lead the way, I'm very confident I could do that because I've done it. I've done it
Hmm.
before. So anything. I know that sounds like very like out there, but I know I could learn anything very quick and do anything, and I could lead a company very well because I'm not a pushover and I am confident. So I know I have the skills. I just do.
So, all right, cool. And now, coming out of this and coming out, like, are you? you're doing some fundraising to help you, and you're getting on podcasts to getting the word out. Tell us more. Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing in that arena, just
So
so people know.
I have been sharing my story on podcasts because, in all seriousness, I know people go through a hard time. I'm not saying you have to share it the way I do, but some people are very, they hold on to things, and I think it's really important to find someone to speak to and never be ashamed or embarrassed of anything that you've done, because we're all here to help each other. You might have critics, which is fine, but there's always somebody that you could speak to. It doesn't even have to be a therapist. It could be a friend. It could be a random person. It could be going on a podcast if you really feel confident in telling your story. But people get they break because they're lonely and they're depressed, and they feel like after I go through something, there's no hope. And you can't be that way, because everyone has an opportunity. Everyone could be something, even when you go downhill. And it takes time. Like, I have to be very patient. Like, I want things to start tomorrow, but I know it's not going to happen. So I've been on podcast. I started a website, Living Yosh, LIVINGYOSH, where I share my story. And honestly, now I'm interviewing people because I want to hear people's stories, because not it's not for me to get attention, but I think people really need to hear that. Also, you could be passionate about something and be a success. Like I said, it takes time, but you should do something you love. Whether it's you
Absolutely,
have another job also and you do what you love, why waste your life? And I think everything, which I tell people, every story has meaning, and every story brings growth. If not, you're living to die. And why would you live that way? Why would you live that? Everything I do, it was done yesterday. No big deal. Every moment is your journey, and you have to live it the right way, or what's the point?
I agree with you. I agree. Everything's a stepping stone. Everything's to that next thing. And again, I think you have to, if you don't do what you love, you're gonna be sad one day.
No, for sure. And so I also do have a fund, which thank God I've had help, but it's still not easy, because I'm still looking for that career job to support my family. It's help Yosh, HELPYOSH.com. Literally every dollar helps because I don't have it coming the same way it did before. So it does help a lot. And if not me, it's always nice to help somebody else. And really, when someone, it's hard to ask for help. Even today, I'm not used to it. I
Sure.
want to do things on my own. I want to give back, and the way I'm giving back financially is if people invest in me, I'm sharing my story and I'm helping others any way I can. It's the least I could do.
Awesome. That's great. So as we wrap up today, let people know where they can find you. Give them your website again and any social medias so that anyone that's looking to connect can get in touch with you. I think this is, unfortunately, it's a horrible story that you've gone through, but I love the fact that you're coming out of this ahead and you're
Thank
coming
you.
out of this and saying that you want to work, that you want to help, that you support and love your family. So I think that that's admirable
The
and
only way,
awesome.
my man. It's your family is everything. Your friends, everyone is everything. And
I agree.
so once again, it's Living Yosh, LIVINGYOSH.com, and Help Yosh, HELPYOSH.com. I can be found. If you need to talk to someone, I'm here. Like, that's what I want to do. You can find me on Instagram at Living Yosh. I'm here. I'm not charging you to talk to me. I'm here. I think I could give pretty good advice. I just want to give back. That's all I want to do.
That's awesome. That's really great. So thank you for coming on the show
Yeah,
today.
thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story. I will make sure that our company makes a donation to your fund to
Wow, really
help
nice
your
of you.
cause and to show that Wingman and Grit Won't Quit are behind you.
Please don't be afraid to reach out to me, because I'm not a therapist, but when you've lived it, you can relate to people a lot better. And I feel confident I can. So please reach out, and I'll try to help in any way I can, because that's the least I could do.
Fantastic. Well, this was great having you on, and keep pushing ahead. And every day is gonna, is the next step to in the journey. And
Yeah.
never stop that fight and keep that grit. Keep hustling.
Thanks, my man. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the nice words. It does mean a lot. It goes a far way.
Awesome. All right. Well, this was a great episode of Grit Won't Quit. It was a little bit different, but there was a lot. There's a lot to listen to here, and it was a great chat. All right. My pleasure. Have a good one, bud.
You too, my man. Have a great weekend.
You too.